Commander Elias Trent stood at the edge of the observation deck, staring at the swirling colors of the new star system before him. The bridge of the Aurora Pathfinder hummed quietly, a steady background to the anticipation that hung in the air like thick fog. For years, humans had reached out to distant stars, mapping the familiar constellations and charting known planets. But this system was different. Its planets shimmered with strange light patterns, almost like the stars themselves had spilled onto solid ground. "This one looks alive," murmured Lieutenant Mara Chen beside him. Her eyes were wide with wonder as she adjusted the ship's sensors. "Look at the patterns over the oceans. They're moving in ways that don't match any weather systems we know." Elias nodded, leaning closer. "Or maybe it's something we don't know at all. Humans had always thrived on the unknown, turning uncertainty into curiosity and curiosity into discovery. That trait had carried them farther than most alien civilizations ever dared to go." The planet below, known by its catalog name, Virelia, 9 was covered with floating landmasses. Some hovered above oceans that reflected colors humans couldn't name, while others drifted like islands in a sea of clouds. Strange, shimmering particles drifted in the atmosphere, catching the light in ways that made the planet seem alive, almost conscious. "Prepare the survey team," Elias ordered, his voice steady despite the excitement he felt. "We'll land on the largest floating continent. Keep sensors wide open." "I want everything recorded." The landing was smooth, almost surreal. As the crew descended in their exploration pods, the ground seemed to shift subtly beneath them, rippling in ways that defied physics. They stepped out cautiously, instruments ready, noting that their readings fluctuated constantly. Gravity was uneven, air composition was breathable but slightly richer than Earth's, and the temperature was perfect. "Feels like walking through a dream," murmured Chen as she took her first step onto the floating surface. Elias smiled. "And we're the dreamers." They explored carefully, scanning plants that glowed softly and stones that seemed to hum when touched. Everything about Virelia. 9 suggested intelligence, yet there were no visible signs of life. That was when they noticed the first anomaly. A figure appeared at the far end of the plateau, walking lightly across the shimmering ground. At first they thought it was a reflection, a trick of the strange light, but as it came closer it became undeniable. The figure was tall, graceful, and humanoid in shape, yet every feature was alien. Her skin glimmered faintly like moonlight caught on water. Her eyes were large and silver, reflecting curiosity more than hostility. The team froze. None of their training had prepared them for this. None of the simulations or xenobiology classes could explain the sensation that rippled through them, a mix of awe, fear, and fascination. Elias stepped forward, hands raised slightly in a universal gesture of peace. "We come in friendship," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We mean no harm." The alien woman tilted her head, studying them. She made no sudden movements, yet her presence was commanding, like the planet itself had taken form. Then, almost imperceptibly, she raised her hand in a gesture that mirrored Elias's own. A ripple of laughter escaped her lips, musical and soft, and it filled the air like wind through crystal chimes. The humans exchanged glances, uncertain. Was it a warning, a joke, or something else entirely? Elias, always one to take chances, allowed a small smile to creep onto his face. "If you ever need allies, you know where to find us," he said, partly in jest, partly as a sincere offer. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then the alien woman laughed again, a sound that seemed to make the air vibrate. And then, in a voice that was melodic yet surprisingly understandable, she said, "All right, I accept." The words hung in the air, and for a moment, the humans were stunned. Acceptance of what? They had no idea what pact or agreement had just been made. Yet her tone was clear. There was no hesitation, no doubt. She had chosen them. for reasons they did not yet understand. Before anyone could respond, she turned and walked away, moving with a grace that made her almost float above the ground. The shimmer of the landscape seemed to follow her, bending and twisting in response to her movement. Within moments, she vanished behind a floating ridge, leaving the humans to wonder if she had ever been there at all. Elias ran a hand through his hair, trying to process what had just happened. Did that really just happen? He asked, more to himself than anyone else. Chen nodded slowly. She accepted something. Maybe it's a bond. Maybe it's a test. Whatever it is, she didn't reject us. That's huge. The rest of the team began collecting samples and data, but a tension hung over them that wasn't there before. Every tree, every rock, every shimmer in the air seemed to hold the possibility of her return. For humans, uncertainty was never a deterrent. It was a challenge, and they thrived on challenges. Over the next few hours, the alien woman appeared intermittently, always observing, never interacting directly beyond subtle gestures. Sometimes she would mimic the crew's movements, tilting her head, raising a hand, or making a sound that echoed their own laughter. It became clear to Elias that she was intelligent in ways they could not yet comprehend. Her actions were deliberate, and she seemed fascinated by human behavior.
"Look at her," said Chen one evening as the sun dipped below the floating horizon.
She's studying us, trying to figure out what makes humans human. And we're studying her, trying to figure out what makes her her. There's a pattern here, I can feel it. As night fell, the planet's bioluminescent flora glowed more brightly, illuminating the plateau in shades of blue and gold. Stars reflected in the alien woman's eyes, making her appear both otherworldly and deeply familiar at the same time. She approached them slowly, extending a delicate hand, as if inviting them to step closer, not in danger, but in curiosity. Elias stepped forward, meeting her gaze. "I don't know what you're asking," he said softly. "But we're willing to learn, we're willing to try." She laughed again, this time softly enough to feel like wind through leaves. She did not speak, but the gesture of her hand, the tilt of her head, and the warmth in her gaze communicated something beyond words. It was an unspoken challenge, an invitation to engage with a mind that was not just alien, but extraordinary. The crew returned to their pods that night with more questions than answers. The data they had collected showed anomalies in gravitational fields, subtle energy readings that hinted at intelligence within the planet itself, and patterns in the floating landmasses that seemed almost like intentional design. The alien woman had vanished, leaving behind no footprints, no traces, only the lingering sense that something monumental had begun. Elias sat in the captain's chair, staring at the stars, thinking about what had just happened. Humans were explorers, diplomats, negotiators, and sometimes fools, but they were also resilient, creative, and daring. That combination had carried them farther than most species ever dreamed of going. And somehow, in a moment that had felt almost casual, they had earned the attention, and perhaps the trust, of a being that might be beyond anything they had encountered before. The thought brought a small, proud smile to his face. "We're not just visitors here," he murmured. "We're participants, and whatever comes next, we'll be ready." Outside the ship, on the shimmering plateau of Virelia, 9, the alien woman watched the pods lift off. She tilted her head, a faint smile playing on her lips. Her species rarely made alliances lightly, and yet she had done so. Something about these humans, their curiosity, their boldness, their humor, had convinced her. She had accepted the offer, but whether it would be a simple friendship or something far more significant remained to be seen. The stars twinkled above, and the planet seemed to pulse with anticipation. Humanity had made a choice by merely existing, by daring to step into the unknown. And in return, the universe had responded, not with hostility, but with opportunity. Elias leaned back in his chair, feeling the weight of history settling on his shoulders. He didn't know what challenges awaited them, what puzzles, or what mysteries lay ahead. But one thing was certain: humans had a way of turning the impossible into the possible. And whatever game this alien woman had begun, they would play it with all the ingenuity, courage, and curiosity that defined their species. Somewhere on Varelia, 9, her laughter echoed in the night, a promise and a challenge all at once. And humanity, unshaken and unafraid, was ready to answer. The Aurora Pathfinder hovered silently above the floating plateau of Varelia. 9. Inside, the crew was busy analyzing the data collected during their first encounter with the alien woman. Every reading was strange. Fluctuating gravity, energy patterns that seemed alive, and a soft, pulsing resonance that seemed almost like a heartbeat. Every system we scan is unpredictable, Lieutenant Chen said, frowning at the console. It's as if the planet itself is reacting to us. Commander Elias Trent leaned over the display, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. Or maybe it's not the planet reacting, it's her. She's intelligent. Maybe this is part of whatever pact she's made with us. The crew exchanged glances. The thought of being under the subtle observation of a species so advanced and alien was daunting. But humans thrived under pressure. Uncertainty didn't make them hesitate. It made them innovate. Elias made a decision. We're going back down. Carefully. This time, we observe. But we also interact. We need to understand her, and maybe even learn from her. The pods descended slowly, gliding over the luminous terrain. As they touched down, the alien woman appeared almost immediately. Her silver eyes sparkled as she tilted her head, studying them with a combination of curiosity and amusement. She did not speak, but her gaze seemed to challenge them, to see if they were clever enough to engage with her world. Chen stepped forward, cautiously. Commander, she's observing again. Maybe she's testing us. Elias smiled. Then we'll rise to the challenge. Humans don't fail tests. We find solutions. The crew moved across the floating landmass following her silent cues. Sometimes she would shift a floating rock to block a path. Other times she would guide them toward glowing plants that reacted to their touch. Each interaction was subtle, but each had purpose. It became clear that she was teaching them something without words. Hours passed, and the humans began to notice patterns in her actions. She wasn't just testing their movement or observation skills. She was challenging their creativity. When a path seemed blocked, the solution required more than strength or speed. It demanded thinking differently, improvising, and working together. Look at this, said Chen, pointing to a set of floating stones that formed a moving staircase. If we time our steps right, we can reach the top. But we have to adjust with each shift. It's like she's designing puzzles for us. Then let's solve them. Humans love puzzles. They worked together, coordinating movements, improvising solutions, and laughing at their mistakes. Every time they succeeded, the alien woman's laughter rang out across the plateau. It was musical, soft, and filled with warmth. The crew began to see it as a reward, a sign of her approval. As night fell, the bioluminescent plants cast an ethereal glow over the plateau. The alien woman led them to a shallow pool where the water reflected the stars above. She gestured for Elias to step closer. Tentatively, he did, noticing that the water seemed to ripple in response to his presence. She extended her hand, and a series of glowing symbols rose from the pool, floating in the air. They weren't language in the way humans understood it, but there was meaning in the patterns. Flow, balance, connection. Elias studied them carefully, realizing that she was trying to communicate not with words, but with symbols that represented concepts, not letters. Chen, we can map these patterns, he said, pulling up a portable holographic display. They're consistent, almost like equations. By Chrysan Pegram, she's giving us a system, a way to interact. Over the next few days, the humans immersed themselves in the puzzles and challenges the alien woman created. They discovered that every interaction had layers. The simplest solutions worked, but the most elegant solutions required thinking beyond the obvious. They were not just observing, they were learning to understand a mind that was completely different from their own. One morning, Elias awoke to find the alien woman waiting at the edge of the plateau. She had brought with her a small floating device, almost like a crystal, and placed it before him. When he touched it, he felt a gentle hum of energy coursing through his hand. Images flashed in his mind, scenes of her civilization, their floating cities, and complex systems of energy and communication that humans had never seen. "She's sharing knowledge," Chen whispered. "But it's subtle. She's not giving it all at once. It's a test of perception, of patience, of understanding." Elias nodded. "And that's what makes humans remarkable. We don't just accept what we're given. We analyze, interpret, and adapt. That's our strength." The alien woman watched closely as they explored the implications of the crystal device. Every discovery they made seemed to please her, and her laughter grew warmer, more approving. It was as if she were not just observing, but beginning to respect them, not for their strength, not for their technology, but for their ability to think creatively, adapt, and collaborate. Days turned into weeks. The humans grew more confident in navigating her world, understanding its rules, and responding to its challenges. Every interaction built trust, though the bond was subtle, almost invisible to the eye. They were learning not just about her, but about themselves. Human ingenuity, curiosity, and persistence were being tested, and proving powerful. Then, one evening, the alien woman led them to a plateau that overlooked the entire floating continent. The view was breathtaking. Islands drifting over oceans of shimmering color, bioluminescent plants glowing softly, and strange patterns of light twisting in the sky. She gestured for them to stand together and look. Elias stepped forward.
"What are we seeing?"
he asked, awe in his voice. She did not speak. Instead, she lifted her arms, and the floating islands began to shift, forming intricate geometric patterns. It was a display of intelligence and beauty, a silent message that humans could feel but not fully interpret. Yet, in that moment, Elias understood something fundamental. They were being invited into a partnership, a collaboration that went beyond words. Shen whispered, "She's showing us her world and letting us participate in shaping it." Elias smiled.
Humans were made for this. We explore.
We adapt. We learn. And we never stop trying, even when the rules are strange or the puzzles seem impossible. The alien woman laughed softly, a sound like wind over crystal. It was the same laughter from their first encounter, but now it carried something new: acknowledgement, respect, and perhaps even friendship. She had tested them, challenged them, and in doing so had found humans worthy. As the night deepened, the humans gathered around the glowing pool where their first lessons had begun. The alien woman placed her hand on the water again, and symbols rose, more complex than before. But now the humans recognized the patterns. They moved with confidence, interacting with the symbols, solving the new puzzles with ease. "She's happy," Shen said quietly. "I think she sees what we're capable of." "She sees us," Elias nodded. "And that matters. It always has." Humans have a way of turning challenges into opportunities. We don't just survive. We excel, and we adapt. That's why we're here, and why she accepted our offer in the first place. The alien woman stepped back, letting the humans lead. It was a subtle shift, but significant. She was no longer solely the observer. She was now a collaborator. Together, they explored the mysteries of the planet, deciphered its energy flows, and began to understand its language of symbols. The bond between species was growing, not through words or treaties, but through shared experience and mutual respect. Elias looked at his crew, seeing pride and wonder reflected in their eyes. Humanity had been underestimated before, but here, on a strange and beautiful world, they were proving their worth through ingenuity, persistence, and the ability to embrace the unknown. And somewhere nearby, the alien woman laughed again, a sound of joy and recognition. It was an acknowledgement that humans were more than just visitors. They were participants, collaborators, and perhaps even equals in ways that neither species could fully predict yet. As the Aurora Pathfinder prepared for another night of exploration, Elias felt a deep sense of purpose. Humans had been tested, and they had passed, not through strength, not through technology, but through creativity, curiosity, and the willingness to engage with the unknown. Borrelia 9 was no longer just a mysterious planet. It was a proving ground, a classroom, and a bridge between worlds. And the alien woman's presence was both a challenge and an opportunity, one that humans were uniquely suited to embrace. Elias smiled to himself.
"This is only the beginning," he said. "Whatever comes next, we'll be ready."
Humans always are. Outside, the floating islands glimmered under the alien stars, and the alien woman watched silently, her eyes reflecting both wonder and approval. The bond had been formed, subtle and unspoken, but undeniable. Humans had shown what made them special, the ability to adapt, to think differently, and to turn uncertainty into triumph. And the universe, in response, had begun to notice. The days on Borrelia 9 passed with a rhythm that felt both familiar and alien to Commander Elias Trent and his crew. The alien woman continued to guide them through challenges that tested their ingenuity, patience, and teamwork. Yet, despite their growing understanding, a sense of anticipation hung over the humans, like the calm before a storm. Something bigger was coming, though they did not yet know what. One morning, the alien woman appeared at the edge of a floating ridge, her silver eyes reflecting the rising sun of the alien planet. This time, she did not smile. Her presence was serious, almost ceremonial. She gestured for Elias and his team to follow her, leading them across the plateau toward a vast crystalline structure that had remained hidden until now. The structure was immense, rising like a translucent tower from the floating ground. It shimmered with colors that seemed impossible to describe, shifting and folding in patterns that appeared alive. As the humans approached, they noticed faint symbols etched into its surface. The symbols pulsed with energy, almost as if the tower itself were breathing. "She's brought us here for something important," Chen whispered. "I think this is a proposal." Elias nodded, feeling the familiar thrill of discovery. Humans were explorers by nature. To encounter the unknown and make sense of it, that was their strength. He stepped forward cautiously, studying the tower. As he did, the alien woman extended her hand, and the symbols on the surface began to move. They formed intricate sequences, almost like a puzzle or a test. It became clear to the humans that this was not a simple interaction. The alien woman was presenting a challenge, one that required not just observation, but understanding, creativity, and collaboration. The first puzzle involved manipulating the symbols in a precise sequence. If done correctly, they would unlock a part of the tower and reveal its purpose. Elias and his crew worked together, analyzing patterns, experimenting with different approaches, and communicating constantly. The alien woman watched silently, her expression unreadable, yet her eyes seemed to follow every detail. After hours of trial and error, the humans succeeded. The tower responded immediately, and a hidden chamber opened to reveal a holographic projection of her civilization. They saw floating cities, advanced energy systems, and technology that bent physics in ways humans had only theorized. It was breathtaking, and the crew realized that this alien woman had shared only a fraction of her species' knowledge. She's showing us the scale of her world, Chen said, her voice filled with awe. And she's inviting us to be part of it. Elias studied the projection carefully. This is more than just a test. She's offering a partnership, but it's conditional. We need to prove we can handle the responsibility, think creatively, and respect the balance of her world. Over the next several days, the challenges intensified. The alien woman presented the humans with complex scenarios that combined logic, intuition, and morality. One involved arranging energy flows to restore balance to a section of the floating islands. Another required interpreting the behavior of semi-sentient plants that reacted unpredictably to human touch. Each task demanded collaboration, patience, and insight. The humans discovered something remarkable about themselves during these challenges. While alien technology was beyond their comprehension in many ways, humans had an ability that no algorithm or automated system could replicate. Intuition. They could see connections, patterns, and solutions where machines could not. They could laugh at failure, learn from it, and improvise. That adaptability, their creativity under pressure, was exactly what the alien woman had been seeking. At one point, Elias paused to observe the alien woman as she watched the team solve a particularly difficult puzzle. Her silver eyes softened, and a faint smile appeared. It was the first time the humans felt that they had truly earned her respect. Her laughter, which had always been playful and musical, now carried warmth and approval. "This is amazing," Chen whispered. "She's not just teaching us. She's learning from us too."
Elias nodded. Humans have a way of surprising others.
That's who we are. And I think she's beginning to understand that. As the challenges continued, the alien woman finally revealed the deeper reason for her tests. One evening, as the bioluminescent glow of the floating islands painted the sky, she led the humans to a plateau overlooking a massive energy nexus. She gestured toward it, and a projection appeared in the air. A network of her civilization's energy systems that was unstable, at risk of collapsing under pressure from natural fluctuations in their environment. Through the projection, the humans realized that her people faced a problem that their own technology could not solve alone. The energy flows required a form of reasoning and adaptability that was uniquely human, the ability to think creatively under constraints, to recognize patterns, and to respond intuitively to unpredictable variables. "This is why she accepted us," Chen said quietly. "She needed humans not for strength, not for firepower, but for our mind, our creativity." Elias felt a surge of pride. Humans had always been underestimated by many alien civilizations. Their strength was not in raw power or advanced machinery, but in ingenuity, persistence, and adaptability. Now, on Viralia, 9, those qualities were proving invaluable. The alien woman guided them through a series of intricate exercises designed to simulate the energy nexus. Each test was more complex than the last, requiring humans to anticipate variables, adjust in real time, and cooperate seamlessly. The crew worked tirelessly, sometimes failing, but always learning and improving. Every success was met with the alien woman's laughter, a sound that had become a symbol of approval and encouragement. Through these tests, Elias began to notice subtle changes in her behavior. She no longer observed purely from a distance. She began to interact in small ways, offering hints through gestures, introducing new variables to test the humans' creativity, and even mimicking some of their strategies. It was a silent acknowledgement that humans were capable partners, not just learners. One day, after successfully stabilizing a simulated section of the energy nexus, the alien woman approached Elias directly. She placed her hand on a floating crystal that pulsed with soft light, and the symbols she created in the air formed a simple phrase in Galactic common. "You understand." Elias felt a thrill of triumph. "We understand, and we will help." The alien woman's expression softened, and she allowed herself a smile that was almost human in its warmth. It was a moment of connection, a silent acknowledgement of mutual respect. For the first time, the humans felt that they were not just participants in her tests. They were collaborators, partners in solving a problem that affected an entire civilization. The following days were spent applying their insights to larger, more complex simulations. The humans' ingenuity shone through in ways that even the alien woman had not anticipated. Their ability to improvise, to learn from mistakes, and to find creative solutions impressed her deeply. Each success strengthened the bond between species, reinforcing the idea that humans were uniquely capable of meeting challenges that others might see as insurmountable. Finally, after a week of intensive collaboration, the alien woman led the humans to a platform overlooking the energy nexus. The simulations they had completed now extended into real-time management of the planet's energy systems. With her guidance and the humans' insight, the unstable flows began to stabilize. Colors shifted from erratic flashes to smooth, harmonious patterns, and the bioluminescent plants responded with radiant pulses. The alien woman stepped back and allowed the humans to take the lead. For the first time, she did not intervene, watching as they applied their creativity, intuition, and teamwork to maintain balance. When the energy flows fully stabilized, she laughed, a deep, melodic sound filled with joy and satisfaction. "You have proven yourselves," she said finally, her voice soft but resonant. "Humans are clever, unpredictable, and capable of understanding things beyond calculation. You are worthy."
Elias felt a swell of pride.
This was not victory through force, not triumph through technology, but through human ingenuity and collaboration. They had succeeded where pure logic or alien systems might have failed. Chen smiled, looking at the alien woman. "You trusted us." "And we didn't let you down." The alien woman's eyes glimmered. "Trust is earned, and you have earned it. Our worlds may now be connected. Your species brings what ours cannot: creativity, adaptability, and courage."
Elias felt the weight of the moment. Then
Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy. Their strength was not in weapons or dominance, but in their mind, their spirit, and their ability to rise to challenges no one else could solve. Here, on Virelia 9, they had proven it, not just to her, but to themselves. As night fell, the floating islands glimmered under the alien stars, and the humans stood together with the alien woman. A bond had been forged through challenge, learning, and respect. It was subtle, almost invisible to outsiders, but it was powerful. Humans had not only navigated an alien world, they had demonstrated what made their species extraordinary: the ability to adapt, innovate, and turn uncertainty into triumph. Elias looked at the horizon, thinking of the challenges ahead. This was only the beginning. The alien woman had revealed a deeper purpose, and humans had proven their worth. Together, they would face whatever came next, not with fear, but with ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. Somewhere nearby, her laughter echoed across the plateau, a sound of approval, joy, and recognition. Humans had passed the tests. They had earned her respect, and in doing so, they had taken another step toward a partnership that could change the course of their species in the galaxy. Elias smiled. "We're ready for whatever comes next," he said. "Humans always are." And the alien woman, standing silently beside them, seemed to agree. The floating islands of Virelia 9 glowed softly under the alien stars, casting pools of light on the humans and the alien woman as they worked together. Commander Elias Trent felt a sense of calm purpose that he had rarely experienced. They had passed her tests, proved their ingenuity, and earned a bond that went beyond words. Yet now, a new challenge awaited, one that would define the future of both their species. The alien woman led them to the central hub of the energy nexus, the massive crystalline tower that had first revealed her civilization's brilliance. She extended her hand, and the symbols in the air began to rearrange themselves, forming patterns that pulsed with intelligence. Unlike before, these symbols were instructions, not puzzles. She was offering them a chance to take full responsibility for stabilizing a real section of her planet's systems. Elias studied the projection carefully. "This is it," he said. "The real test. Not a simulation, not a puzzle, but actual responsibility. We succeed, and we demonstrate what humans can do." Shen nodded.
"We've learned so much already. We can do this."
"We just have to trust ourselves and each other." The humans set to work, coordinating their efforts with precision. Each decision mattered. Energy flows had to be balanced carefully, the floating island's movements monitored, and the semi-sentient flora interpreted correctly. There was no room for error, but there was also room for ingenuity, a space where human intuition shone brightest. As they worked, the alien woman observed silently, her silver eyes reflecting both pride and curiosity. She had tested them through games and simulations, but now she was witnessing the humans' true strength, their ability to adapt, innovate, and rise to challenges that no other species could approach so fluidly. Elias guided his team through a particularly complex section where multiple energy currents intersected in unpredictable ways. At first it seemed impossible to manage, but then an idea struck him. "We need to synchronize the flows using the pattern we saw in the floating islands yesterday. Think of it as rhythm, not control," he said. The crew adjusted the systems, letting intuition guide their actions rather than pure calculation. Slowly the energy currents aligned, glowing smoothly and harmoniously. Chen smiled. It worked. "We're doing it!" The alien woman tilted her head, her laughter filling the air. It was the same melodic sound from their first encounter, but now it carried deep respect. Humans were no longer simply participants in her tests. They were collaborators, capable of shaping the world in ways her own species could not. Hours passed, and the humans continued to stabilize section after section of the Nexus. They adapted to unexpected changes, found solutions to unforeseen problems, and applied lessons learned from each challenge the alien woman had presented. Each success reinforced their confidence, while each difficulty sharpened their ingenuity. Finally, the last section remained, a part of the Nexus that had resisted every attempt so far. The energy currents twisted unpredictably, forming patterns that seemed chaotic. Elias studied the problem, thinking back to all they had learned.
"It's not chaos," he said. "It's logic we don't yet understand."
"We have to approach it differently, not just as a problem, but as a system we can work with." The crew collaborated, combining intuition, observation, and creativity. Slowly, they noticed subtle patterns in the currents, rhythms in the chaos, that suggested a solution. They adjusted the flows carefully, step by step, until the final section harmonized perfectly with the rest of the Nexus. The entire network pulsed in unison, glowing brighter than ever before. The alien woman stepped forward, her silver eyes shining with admiration. "You have done what no one else could," she said. Humans are clever, adaptable, and fearless in ways we did not anticipate. You have proven yourselves worthy partners." Elias felt a surge of pride. Humans had always been underestimated by other civilizations, judged by their technology or size rather than by their creativity and ingenuity. Here, on this alien world, they had shown that their true strength lay in their minds, their courage, and their ability to collaborate under pressure. Chen smiled at Elias. "We did it. Together." The alien woman gestured toward the sky, and the floating islands above shimmered, forming intricate patterns that mirrored the energy flows below. It was a display of beauty, intelligence, and harmony, a visual representation of the partnership between species. She turned to Elias, and for the first time she spoke clearly, without symbols or puzzles. "You accepted the unknown. You adapted. You persevered. And for that, our worlds are now connected." Elias nodded. "Humans have always risen to the challenge. We learn, we adapt, and we find solutions. That's who we are." The alien woman's laughter filled the air again, soft and musical, yet stronger than before. It was a sound of joy, approval, and shared achievement. In that moment, the humans felt something extraordinary. They were not just visitors in her world. They were equals, collaborators in shaping its future. Over the following days, the humans and the alien woman worked together to integrate human insight into the broader energy network of her civilization. The floating islands responded to subtle cues from the humans. The semi-sentient plants adapted in harmony, and the energy nexus stabilized in ways that no algorithm or automated system could have achieved alone. The alien woman began to teach them more than puzzles and tests. She shared insights into her species' understanding of energy, communication, and cooperation. Humans absorbed the knowledge quickly, translating it into practical applications while adding their own creativity and perspective. The partnership flourished, built on mutual respect, curiosity, and trust. Elias realized that this alliance was not just about technology or energy flows. It was about understanding and valuing differences. Humans brought intuition, humor, and unpredictability. Her species brought precision, advanced knowledge, and wisdom. Together they could accomplish things neither could achieve alone. One evening, as the twin moons of Borrelia, 9 rose above the floating islands, the alien woman led the humans to the highest plateau. From there, they could see the entire network of islands, energy currents, and glowing flora spread out in breathtaking patterns. It was a living, breathing world, shaped by collaboration and understanding. She turned to Elias, her expression softening. "When you offered your hand, I did not know what you meant. Now I understand. You are not just clever. You are adaptable, resourceful, and courageous. You see the world not as it is, but as it could be."
Elias smiled. That's what humans do.
We don't just react to the universe, we engage with it, learn from it, and shape it. The alien woman laughed again, a sound that carried across the floating islands and into the stars. "Then let our worlds move forward together," she said. "Your species brings what mine cannot. And in return, we offer knowledge, partnership, and friendship." It was a moment of triumph, not born from conflict or conquest, but from curiosity, creativity, and collaboration. Humans had not just survived in an alien world. They had excelled. They had demonstrated the unique qualities that made their species remarkable: ingenuity, adaptability, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. Elias looked at his crew, pride swelling in his chest. They had faced the unknown, learned its rules, and contributed in ways no one had expected. Humans had proven themselves, not through force, but through intelligence, creativity, and perseverance. The alien woman extended her hand again. This time, in a gesture of partnership, Elias took it, and the energy currents of the nexus pulsed brightly, a symbol of connection between their species. The floating islands shimmered in harmonious patterns, reflecting the unity that had been forged through respect and understanding. "This is only the beginning," Elias said quietly. "Humans will rise to every challenge. We will explore, adapt, and learn. That's who we are." The alien woman's laughter echoed once more, soft and musical, carrying a promise of future collaboration. In that moment, the humans realized that they were part of something greater than themselves, a partnership that could expand knowledge, explore new worlds, and shape the future of both civilizations. As the night deepened and the stars sparkled above, the humans and their alien allies stood together, gazing at the floating islands. The planet was alive with possibilities, and they were ready to embrace them all. Elias thought back to the first moment he had jokingly offered his hand in friendship. He smiled. Sometimes a casual gesture could open doors to extraordinary opportunities. Humans had laughed, learned, and persevered. And in doing so, they had earned a place among the stars. The alien woman's laughter faded into the night, leaving a lingering sense of hope, curiosity, and partnership. Humanity had proven itself once again, adaptable, clever, and unafraid to face the unknown. The universe was vast, and full of mysteries, but together, humans and their alien ally could meet anything with creativity, intelligence, and courage. And as the floating islands pulsed with light, Elias knew that this was only the start of humanity's journey among the stars. The bond had been formed, the partnership solidified, and the future was wide open. Humans had not only survived, they had excelled. In the end, it was not technology or strength that had earned their place, but the very essence of what it meant to be human. Curiosity, ingenuity, collaboration, and the courage to reach out, even when the unknown seemed impossible. And somewhere nearby, under the alien stars, the alien woman laughed again, a sound of approval and joy, signaling that humanity had not just arrived, they had been accepted, celebrated, and embraced.